In the tech world, a challenge or problem will inevitably raise a pertinent question. A tech company's scientific approach to find a correct and suitable answer to that question is sometimes called R&D. For this reason, successful R&D requires the right people or talents. Someone needs to ask the right question or questions, and tech companies need the right people to find a practical answer. In Malaysia, public and private universities strive to provide the best possible education to their tech-oriented students. However, when these students graduate, they find that what they've learned does not always match to the real-world needs of tech employers. CREST is a not-for-profit organization that has been facilitating collaborative R&D work in Malaysia by getting its industry partners to work with universities with the backing of the Malaysian Government. So, CREST has always been in a unique position to play a key role in matchmaking Malaysian tech graduates to rewarding tech careers in Malaysia. 2022 marks the 10th anniversary of CREST. Session 3 of the CREST Video Sessions 2022 reviews CREST's talent development initiatives.
Welcome to the third CREST 2022 video session. People or talent is one of the key pillars for success in any industry. Since the 90s, much has been said about the gap between Malaysian public university tech education and the entry-level requirements of tech company employers. Our distinguished panel today include Yang Bahagia Datuk Seri Jebasingam Isaac George, the former Chief Executive of the Northern Corridor Economic Region, Yang Bahagia Prof. Emirates Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail, the President of Academy Science Malaysia, Mr. Eric Chan, the VP and GM of IOTG Customer Engineering of Intel, Mr. Solomon Lotu, Vice President and Managing Director of Penang Operations and Interim Country Manager for Motorola Solutions. Let us hear from a leading Malaysian academic on this topic. Yang Bahagia Prof. Datuk Dr. Asma, as President of Academy Sciences Malaysia, what are your views? Dr. Asma?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Jeffrey, for inviting me to be able to share some of my thoughts. And before I start to talk about it, I would like to just say happy 10th anniversary to CREST. Yeah? So what are the challenges that we face? In the country, we know we want to move to become a high-tech nation by 2020. And when we want to do that, it has to be powered by SDI. So therefore, we will want now more Malaysian industries to become more S&T based and to be also innovative using homegrown technologies. And these homegrown technologies preferably will be developed by our own local researchers. We know this. This is what we want. This is where we want to go. So we need someone, a trusted neutral entity for each of these industry that should be given the mandate, the resources and the manpower to actually coordinate and what we call create a collaborative research network, all right, that is meant for demand-driven R&D and market-driven delivery system. And this is how we formulated the concept of iConnect. So once we have this collaborative research network, it has to be industry-led and the neutral entity, and that's how we came up with the idea of iConnect, and CREST-like model became what we envision to be the one that is the neutral entity that will now be able to connect between academia and industry. We have, the industry asking for real-world solutions. But the university is actually doing blue sky research. So when do we actually meet? So this is where we need to bring these two entities together. And when we do that, that's how the universities will now learn what exactly is the need of the industry. Then when the university learn this, then hopefully they will now adjust the curriculum the needs of to change the curriculum so that we can now be able to meet industry needs. And once we're able to do that, and that's how we got the universities to do that with 2U, 2I. So to ensure that the university students during their undergraduate, they're able to spend at least 2 years in the industry and 2 years in the university. To that extent, that has been allowed by the Ministry of Higher Education and allowed even by MQA to make sure that the programs are still okay. At the end of the day, undergraduates is undergraduates, so that we have engineers that can now come in, especially for the EE industry that we want to discuss about. But at the end of the day, we also need to know what exactly and how many of these graduates, in which area should we now train them, and how should we train them? And what we are finding now, that even though with the existence of neutral entities like CREST that can now bring the universities together, especially for the EE industry, there is still a need to address what is exact need, because the industry, to be competitive, has got to change. And when you change, the curriculum is not meeting the needs of the industry fast enough. So therefore, there must be other ways. And this by having a close collaboration, we have the industry themselves is able now to give this kind of training. And the training can happen after they graduate, but it is preferable if the training is happening while the student is doing the undergraduate work, so that at the end of the day, as soon as they graduate, they will be industry ready. And so this is the aim of the game, so that once we have done something like this, we will be able now to create the talent hub that not only will satisfy the needs of our local industries, but also the needs of the global industries. Right?
Thank you, Prof. Datuk. Let us now switch over to Datuk Seri, who has basically supported us when he was with Northern Corridor. Datuk Seri, perhaps you can share with us and give us some overview of your thoughts about how you have supported CREST and your ideas about talent development program for the northern side.
I want to congratulate CREST. From the 10 years ago, it was humble beginnings, and now we have achieved much. And I must say that, CREST is actually a catalyst for Malaysia's technology ecosystem development. I think we must keep that in mind. And I think that should be the vision, that CREST should always have in mind, that you are the hub for technology ecosystem development. And we work together with the industry and the academia to achieve this. I think this is something, I personally think CREST has contributed much. Malaysia's actually E&E needs to grow, not only in terms of R&D. So I think this is the biggest challenge in terms of talent development, and particularly in the northern region. We have got, actually it's the technology hub of the country, and if we see the northern region as a technology hub for the nation, where more than 50% of the E&E products is produced in the northern region. And you can see the clustering of industries in the technology area is significantly expanding in the northern region. So if we are not able to address this issue of talent and the needs of the industry, I think we are going to have a very serious problem in the future. If not, we are going to lose out to our neighbors.
Yeah.
Our neighbors are catching up very fast. Indonesia, Vietnam, or even Thailand. So, when we look at our universities, we got this broad-based engineering talent supply from the academia. But what is important is the upskilling and training that needs to be done simultaneously. And I think this is where CREST can play a very important role. And I think this is where, what we call, our CREST 2.0, as we move forward, I think we should be looking into that, where we are able to meet the engineering talent demand from the industry. And this would include software engineers, design engineers, network engineers, front-end developers, and programmers. I think this is what the industry is needing. And, so we really need to focus on this.
So that's why I must congratulate CREST. As we studied the kind of models that we need, we know that if the collaboration with the academia industry that is industry-led usually leads to a higher output, a higher commercialization rate with talent that is probably more needed in the global market. So congratulations, CREST, for starting that particular concept of neutral entity, but moving for deep tech. So this you can move any other industry, but deep tech is something that the country needs if we want to move and serious enough to move to become a high-tech nation by 2030.
Prof. Zaidi has now done 4 projects with us at CREST. He has completely transformed from an academic person to one that's an academic entrepreneur. And the other person is Dr. Tan, who was with UUM, who's now running a company called Terra Phoenix. And he has done 2 projects with us successfully, and he's very excited with the outcome. And he's about to be going into the market with his product. So, I think it can go both ways, Prof. Datuk. The academia has an entrepreneurial spirit and vice versa as well.
I would have to say that having been on the board of CREST, we have seen there's a lot that CREST has helped. CREST, as far as with EE is concerned, I think your achievements is fantastic. Commercialization success rate of 27%, that is simply will not be there even with our research universities being, in the top ranking, top 200 university. At the end of the day, we couldn't commercialize up to 27%. But that is where the research universities have already seen that if we now have collaboration with the industry and industry-led, the success rate starts to increase. This is the kind of mindset change that needs to happen. And the training that you are now have, that the students, if they, let me put you this way, you are trying to move deep tech industry, STI-based industry, but the number of STEM students in the country is going down. So who's going to be able to man all these industries in the future, right? So it's very important that we go back to encourage, to motivate, and to inspire students to be now back into in the track of STI.
Jeffrey, I'd like to say something. The Prof. Asma just mentioned that, the interest in science and engineering is going down. So I think we really need to have a strong base from the schools. I think you have already got a successful youth program. You have covered to date more than 4,000 over students in 188 schools, So I think this is something you need to expand and create interest among the students in the school. And for example, robotics. Robotics is an interesting area which will, generate interest of these young students in school. Maybe that is a good beginning for us to get our students interested in science and technology.
Absolutely.
So start at the school, and then we go to the industry and the rest of the world.
Thank you, Dr.
Jeffrey,
thanks, Brother.
I would like to also touch a bit on the GAN on GAN project. I think the GAN on GAN, what I'd like to cover is, and I think, you have achieved the objectives to create local experts, to complete the infrastructure and equipment creation, and also the achievements that you have had, You have had 7 IPs were filed, 71 GAN experts were created in Malaysia, and then there's a committed investment to date close to 5 billion ringgit. And, you have created nearly 10,000 jobs. And I think this is a significant achievement in terms of value and contribution to the industry. So I think as we celebrate these 10 years, I think the GAN on GAN project, which was done in collaboration with the Northern Corridor Implementation Authority, is a classic example of the way we need to move into the future. And this is a great success story for both CREST and also the government and also the industry.
Thank you so much, Datuk Seri. Mr. Solomon, you are a leader in a leading MNC. So perhaps offer some advice for students who wish to pursue careers in the high-tech world.
Look at us in Malaysia geographically. This country is well poised, well positioned to be in the midst of everything great that is happening in the technology world. So how do we now leverage these opportunities that we have around us, where we have the industry presence for the last 50 years and is growing its footprint ever as we speak? So the students out there, make a great choice in the areas of STEM and the opportunities within Malaysia that are varied and broad and wide and more importantly current, and it is evolving with the speed of how the technology is evolving. So it's a great time to be in the STEM environment. So all you have to do is work hard and also work smart, right? So it's no one substitute for the other. So you got to do both. And what comes together with it, I would hope, is an aptitude for continuous learning, because the technology field, as I've alluded earlier, it is always changing. So having that the aptitude and the accommodation for one's continuous learning is certainly a great gift to have in the areas of STEM. And of course, for you to be a continuous player in this environment over the years, from the student world right into the industry world, you have to develop a passion and enthusiasm for what you do, because this is the one thing that is going to carry you through for a long time. And it is right now being widely embraced by all companies, which basically comes down to one word: energy.
Thank you so much. So what would you say is the three things that CREST has done in talent development from an employer's point of view in the period that we've been on since 2012 till now, 2022?
Wow. So where do I begin? So CREST, Jeffrey, has done tremendously well. And in my opinion, in at least three areas. CREST has a deep and intimate knowledge of technology trends in a very dynamic industry landscape in Malaysia. And that's number one. And over the years, I would say, CREST has established a trusted network amongst the many industry captains in Malaysia, and also is a fantastic go-between, if I want to call it, as a partner to the academia in the local landscape as well. So that are both in universities and local schools. So CREST, in the middle of the industry and the glue towards the academia, is one of the precepts of what makes CREST as what it is today, and how it has grown its influence and contributions to the industry circles over the years. So with the above said, I would say again, it has allowed CREST to facilitate research-oriented engagements, and more importantly, right, so not many agencies or bodies have approached and have actually delivered on its commitment in the way and with style that CREST has done over the years. So in building the repertoire of research-oriented engagements with the industry and academia, whilst also successfully developing sustainable learning platforms that are both industry relevant and being well implemented, is what earmarks, as I would say, CREST among the many agencies that industries like us have worked or currently still working with. So CREST has a fantastic value proposition that I'm really excited about. And one of the clear case and example that I would point towards is a Great Lab Academy. The Great Lab Academy by CREST is a wonderful example that we are seeing the fruits of its labor even till today.
Okay. So what would you say can we do after this? What would be your advice for us to do more in what we've above and beyond what we've done?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on this, Jeffrey. So as I was saying all along, that CREST, along with its partners and with the support of the government, should clearly look in these current times on how it can stretch the current operating model that it has and scale it up for wider outreach across the country. And why? Because this will clearly benefit the larger community of industries that we have and the fledgling SMEs and the academia to jointly grow and develop the talent pipeline for the country, and equally and importantly, provide increased access to research-based collaborations between local academia and startups and SMEs and established industries in Malaysia, which more than likely will build a larger and stronger footprint in the technology world.
Maybe we'll switch over now to Mr. Eric Chan. Will you please share your viewpoints on this topic?
You know, Jeffrey, I think the talent pipeline is the fuel to drive the innovation and the productivity of our economic activities in Malaysia, and more so for the high-tech industry. Thus, it's highly critical that we invest ahead and excite young students, like what Solomon said, to pursue the studies in STEM, where the opportunities are huge and the demand is high across the world. MNCs, especially in the E&E sector, our growth will be limited if we are not able to hire enough engineers or technical talents to drive the innovation in some of these leading-edge hardware and software design. This is why a lot of the MNCs, and I think SME right now, are partnering with CREST and other government agencies to invest in talent development in the country. Every country is investing in high-tech industry, and rightly so, because the pay is very rewarding for knowledge worker, and the job is highly challenging, but fulfilling. I think Malaysia needs to adopt some of the best practices by other countries, if needed, to customize this program to suit our local requirements, such that we're able to self-fund, self-develop enough engineers and technical talent to meet the demands of the industry.
So, I mean, we're all very excited in terms of, you know, like last year, we had a bumper crop year in terms of new investment into the country. And with Intel announcing their investment of $7 billion USD in Malaysia to grow, and as well as many other companies in Malaysia, and in particularly in Penang, talent would be a challenge over the next couple of years. What do you think would be some other new measures that you think the country and maybe even things that we can do through CREST to help alleviate that challenge that will be happening over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think for Intel and many other companies in the countries, MNCs, SMEs, and maybe even other industry, I think over time there will be a crunch of a good talent pipeline. And I think this is where we need to invest ahead. And I think Intel is really doing that. We are reaching out almost to this secondary schools, to the universities. As Solomon mentioned, we also have partnership program with CREST. We talk about I think Solomon talked about the Great Lab. We have the Industry University Challenge. We have the National Hackathons. We have the Innovate Malaysia. I think if you look at the output and the pipeline of our schools and university, if we are able to influence a lot of them to stay with STEM, it's actually quite a sizable talent coming out, right? And then the question is, are they ready? And this is again where companies such as Intel, we have a great, a graduate training program, right? And maybe internship program. And I believe other companies are doing the same, right? So again, I think this is where CREST could come in and apply some of these best practices, starting almost at the secondary school level, all the way to the university to prepare this talent. So by the time they come on board, they are ready for the industry, right? And not in that. After that, there's also a postgraduate program, right? While they work and yet they can do the masters. And we have done it with some government agency to allow some of our students to continue the master study while working with Intel. So a lot of these are really good to not just retain our people, but to also develop them. As I've said, most of us are doing leading edge design now, and we do need a lot of this creative talent to keep pace with some of the knowledge. So again, I think CREST again have a much broader view to apply some of these best practices, across the country.
Thank you, Eric. Well, I hope you enjoyed this session on CREST and talent development. Talent development basically means getting Malaysians more ready for careers in Malaysia's high-tech era, now and in the future. The rationale for CREST's involvement in talent development is simple. We want to play a pivotal role in nurturing and developing a new generation of tech professionals and technopreneurs to drive the Malaysian high-tech sectors to new heights. By facilitating academia, industry, and government linkages, we continue to play a key role in inculcating an innovative mindset amongst students. We are simultaneously steering the curricula of the Institutes of Higher Learning to ensure that the education curriculum aligns with industry needs and is agile enough to keep talents adopting new trends. This is as much about future survival as it is about future success. We must have people with the right knowledge, skills, and mindset to stay competitive and relevant. This will determine our future place in an increasingly competitive and connected world. This marks the end of the third CREST 2022 video session. In our next session, we will talk about some interesting ongoing CREST R&D projects, which we call unfinished business. For more information about CREST, please visit our website, crest.my. Thanks for tuning in.